everyone, welcome to my channel Sewing an Imperfect Life. My name is Rebecca. You are welcome here in this place of creativity where we enjoy ideas about garment making, fabrics, textures and problem solving. I hope you're having a lovely weekend, whatever you are doing. I hope you're staying safe. I have been up to a lot of sewing things today, but I have actually done no actual sewing. I've been doing a lot of dreaming, a lot of researching, a lot of planning from my stash of both fabric and patterns. So my brain is a little bit overloaded. I've got a little bit more to go, but I thought I'd take a break. I've got a cuppa. You might have a cuppa as well. And I did something else really lovely for myself today. This afternoon, I made myself my favorite chocolate cake. Now, as well as sewing, maybe even more than sewing, I love baking. So if you're interested in a couple of little details, I'll share that at the very end. But if you're just here for the sewing and the ideas, tune off at the very end. All right, let's have a look at the fabrics and the patterns I've chosen to pair together and what I've cut out today. I have had a really special piece of fabric on my shelf for about the last 6 months that I treated myself to, and I've been looking forward to making something with it. So today I finally cut out 2 somethings with it. So this piece of fabric, I'll see if you can see the texture. Oh, it just feels so lovely. It's got a really good weight to it. It's a really good winter piece of fabric, but still very breathable because it's 100% cotton. So this was from a sewing fabric shop in Western Australia called Potter & Co. And the name of the fabric is called Finn, and this is the Finn in black. And I got quite a bit of it. So it's a jacquard kind of cotton, like a really thick textured cotton. It looks kind of quilted, but it's not. It's just really textured. So what I really wanted to make with it was a dress. So I have cut out the Merchant & Mills Ellis dress. That is ready to be sewn up. I made a couple of changes which I'll go through in another video because I did another wearable toile with the little changes that I made, like size and expanding the sleeve. So the Finn in black, I've cut out the Ellis dress by Merchant & Mills. I'll put photos up here of it so you can see my thinking. And then I had quite a chunk left over because I thought it would take more than it did because it was a really good 140 centimeter width to the fabric. So I tried out a few different patterns to see what would fit in the leftover piece, and I went with another Merchant & Mills pattern that I have not made before, and that is the Celeste top. So I'm going to make the Celeste, here we go, in the black Finn fabric as well. So those 2 patterns are cut out and ready to go. The Ellis dress I've made in a size 16 because that's quite an oversized fit. I had previously made the 18 and it was a little bit too oversized. So I've remade it, I've recut it in the 16. And the Celeste, I'm not sure if this is going to be too big, but I have cut it out in the 18 for my hips because it's a little bit of a cropped top that sits right on the hip, and that is my widest part. So I don't want it to be too small there. If it ends up being a little bit too oversized and uncomfortable, I can always bring it in. Before I forget, I am wearing a Me Made on the top, just with some lovely comfy tights and socks because it's winter in Australia at the moment. This is the Sweet Cheeks sweater from Pattern Emporium. It's quite a sheer knit fabric, and obviously the V-neck, and I'm not sure what size I made this in anymore because I made it a couple of years ago. It is a very oversized boxy fit. It's a really easy make with absolutely fabulous instructions, with heaps and heaps of different variations to the pattern. I would definitely recommend this pattern. If you're going for an oversized fit, great, stick with the size recommended. If you don't like super oversized, you will want to go down at least one size, if not two. The Sweet Cheeks sweater from Pattern Emporium. In the background here, I'm in my sewing room today, and this is my finish/repairs rack, which I now keep out where I can see. Otherwise, out of sight, out of mind, and I forget all about it. And I don't repair things, and then I wonder what's happened to that garment. Oh yes, I needed to do that repair that will take me all of 5 minutes, but I haven't done it in the last 6 months. Okay, the next fabric and pattern that I have planned and I've actually cut out is the the rugby dress by Merchant and Mills. I'm on a bit of a Merchant and Mills thing at the moment. I remade the Ellis dress about a week ago, which I'll show you eventually, and I just loved it so much I started to pull out all these other Merchant and Mills patterns I'd had sitting on my shelf and never made, and putting them with fabric that I already have. So here's my rugby dress, and so it's like a rugby sweater, but it's in a woven, and it's got a collar and cuffs, and the pattern goes down to the knee. I'm going to take it past the knee, just past the knee. So I've cut it longer, and I bought the smaller size range because my bust tends to fit into their size 16. But then around the hips is a bit iffy, and I actually, according to the pattern, I did not actually fit into their 18. So I've widened the hips, and hopefully it's going to work. I've widened the hips on the 18 and I've lengthened it, and I've cut it out in a really lovely grey linen. It's a mid-weight grey linen that a friend gave me years and years ago, and then I had it sitting there intending to make some trousers with it, and I was just so worried that I'd wreck this beautiful material that she bought me that I never made it up. So I'll put in the picture of the inspiration for this. Merchant and Mills actually had a great photo of one of their makeups of this pattern, and I went, I've got material that will do that, and I really, really like that look. So I've made it up in this mid-grey, mid-weight linen. And as per the photo, I've made the collar and the cuffs in a thicker linen in white. So hopefully that'll be really fresh, and I think it'll be great for summer, really airy. Even though it's long sleeves, you could roll them up, but I also think it's going to be great in winter. I can just pair the dress with a pair of leggings, a pair of tights and some boots or something, or joggers, and I think that'll be a great look too. So that is going to be the Merchant and Mills rugby dress in a grey linen, and the grey linen was from Tessuti, which is an Australian pattern maker and fabric supplier. In fact, they're based in Surrey Hills in Sydney. The next thing that I've cut out is called the Rain Top. Whoop, just dropped part of it. The Rain Top, which is a knit top with a little gather on top of the sleeve. I saw Sam from, I think she's called Sequin Girly. I'm sure you've all heard of her. I saw her make a few of these and I thought, oh, I really like that. That's a great basic with a little bit of a twist to it. So I'm going to try it out, and I've made it up in this super cool brown and black stripe that I got for $3 at the thrift store. And it turns out it's a really lovely knit. So I got really lucky there. That is also paired together and cut out, ready to sew. The next fabric I've cut out is this beautiful whale cord that I made a pair of flaneur trousers in recently, and I had quite a chunk left over, and I've still got a little bit left. Anyway, I decided to try the hanbok vest by Sewing Therapy. So this is cut out. Actually, now that I think about it, it's not quite finished because this is supposed to be reversible. I've never done a vest and I've never done something reversible before, so I thought this could be a really terrific challenge, as well as pretty cool to have a vest to go with a pair of trousers. So I've half cut that out. The other side, I think, is just going to be a plain black linen that I've got a piece of left. But then for the trim, for the binding, I've got this really lovely satin bronze, and I thought that would go really nicely with the fabric and even against the black. That would look good. And I'm also going to see if there's enough to use the binding for the ties at the front as well. There's 2 ties to tie it up. I thought that would be a really nice contrast. That is the next project I've got cut out, ready to sew up. The next pattern on my agenda is to make some more of the Billy sweater by Tilly and the Buttons. I did 2. I've done 1 trial, which was a bit of a Frankenstein of like 3 different fabrics to see if the size and the style was suitable for me, and I really liked it. It was just very easy, very comfortable, a great basic, super quick to make. Then I did a second one in a red Ponte, which is a little bit thick but kind of funky because it's really tomato red, and then I did a striped neckband with it, and that one was with the balloon sleeves that I chopped off. Goes great with jeans and things. And then this one was just going to be another cozy one for winter. Again, using what I have. This is a very soft but lightweight knit. This beautiful apple green. And then I didn't have other green ribbing that I thought would work, so I'm just going to do it with some navy blue ribbing. So that's the Tilly and the Buttons Billy sweater. But I thought I'd also cut out more of the Billy sweater in this fruity fabric. I actually bought this. No, I think my mum bought it for me to make something up for her years ago, and then we couldn't agree on the pattern. So I took my Billy sweater to her place one week for dinner, and she did like it. She asked for a couple of changes. The neckline was too high for her, and she would like it a bit longer. So they're pretty easy to change. So I'm going to make that up for her with this ribbing. Hopefully this week, because it's her birthday on Thursday. So I'll have to be pretty quick and organised about that one. I thought that would be a nice surprise for her because she's not expecting that. I've had huge amounts of patterns out and pieces of fabric, and some of them haven't made it into the pairing. Some of the patterns haven't made it into the pairing of fabrics yet. But here are some that I've gotten out to have a look at. A couple of Pauline Alice dresses that I really love the look of, and they have, this one has great variations. This is the Ibby dress by Pauline Alice. Love those styles. Love how they've been made up on her website. I'll eventually get around to making a couple of those, I think. Something I've got printed in AO, and that is the Atelier Brunette La Combinaison. That is a jumpsuit. I have actually cut out the paper pattern, but I haven't chosen the fabric to go with that yet. But I love a jumpsuit, and I liked the simpleness of that one. It's kind of boxy, but also looks quite comfortable. I did not fit into the Atelier Brunette size range. That was a little bit annoying. I fitted into the top, but not around my hips again. So I've had a go at just grading it out in the trouser section, and I'm going to give it a go and see how it goes. I'll make it up in, you know, some sort of lovely thick cotton sheet that I got from a thrift store somewhere, and just make sure it fits before I dedicate some precious fabric to it. Another one I was looking at, because I've had some success recently with trousers, I looked in my stash of trouser patterns before I bought any new ones, but I was looking at this Tessuti pattern called the Chloe pant. I really like that pattern, but I have not paired it up with any particular fabric yet. It could have been the grey linen from Tessuti, but I preferred that with the rugby dress. I was also looking at the Mary White, and I actually found some, what's it called, Fabulism fabric online that I thought would make a really beautiful Mary White dress. I'll see if I can remember to pop a picture in. But haven't paired that to any fabric that I've got yet. And the other Pauline Alice pattern was the Sadavi. I'll put in some other pictures of that. I did think I might make that Sadavi up in a check that I have, which is an old Doona cover. I thought that would be pretty cool. It would look a bit funky, a little bit Little House on the Prairie, a little bit modern. Yeah, but I haven't done that yet. So they are the other ideas floating around in my head at the moment. So tonight I still have to cut out the other Billy Sweater pattern and tweak it a little bit. And the other thing I've just had sitting out so I don't forget it is this gorgeous cotton gingham. This is just from regular old Spotlight here in Australia, but it is actually quite a nice cotton. I think it's just a quilter's cotton, but I love how vibrant the colors are. And I've recently bought the Florence dress by Merchant and Mills and had that printed out in AO, and so I think after I've had my little snack, I'm going to go and cut that out, and that will be the last thing that I cut out for today, which means the rest of the week, if I get to it after work, I can pick up a pattern and keep going. So they are my fabric and pattern pairings that I have actually decided on, cut out, and have sitting ready to be made up. If you are not a keen baker or eater of sweets, that is all the sewing content for today. I'm going to move on to talking about a little bit of baking and some cookbook recommendations. So if you're tuning out, hope you have a great weekend. I'd love to know what you're working on, and if you've discovered a really fabulous fabric pattern combo that you're going to try out, or that might be a really great tried and tested that you just love putting together, which brings you satisfaction and joy. Okay, if you're a baker, this is important stuff. Chocolate cake, it's actually very rich chocolate cake. I cannot eat this cake just on its own. So as I said at the start, happily, I discovered I'd made this raspberry compote a week ago to go with my granola for breakfast. Forgot I had it. I made some stewed apple instead that I ate all last week with my granola for breakfast. So what I did, my raspberry compote is just super duper easy. It is a packet of frozen raspberries popped in a saucepan, no water. I put in about a tablespoon or two of maple syrup, maybe a teaspoon of vanilla to take away some of the tartness, although I do like the tartness as well. And then I put in a little tea strainer, 1 or 2 star anise, and I put it in a tea strainer so it infuses, but I don't have to pick out all the bits because that's just painful and I'm too lazy to do that. And then I just let it sit and cook away till it becomes nice and thick and aromatic, and the house smells fabulous and it tastes delicious. So a little bit sweet, a lot tart, and a little bit spicy with the star anise in it as well. The cream that I had, I just whipped up with a couple of tablespoons of icing sugar and a little bit of vanilla essence, and I have to say it's possibly my favorite thing on the plate at the moment. Something so simple and so delicious. So the chocolate cake is from one of my favorite cookbooks, and let me tell you, I have a lot of cookbooks. I'm banging around all the books. I have a lot of cookbooks. This is one of my favorites. I hadn't picked this up for a while. Huckleberry. Love it. This is where the chocolate cake is from. And a couple of the other recipes in here that are just delicious. Just everything I've made in here has been delicious. I've made these so many times. These are so rich. These breakfast muffins, bacon cheddar, rich, 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 and absolutely delicious. They've got maple syrup and buttermilk and huge amounts of 2 different types of cheeses and cornmeal and all sorts of things. That is an absolutely delicious recipe. Okay, so love this cookbook. Anything I've made from here has been fabulous. Huckleberry, Stories, Secrets and Recipes from Our Kitchen, Zoe Nathan. My ultimate tried and true baking cookbook is Mix and Bake by Belinda Jeffrey. She is an Australian recipe maker and cookbook author. She's been around for a long time. Sometimes she does cooking lessons up in Queensland and sometimes at the Agrarian Kitchen in Tasmania. And every time I've tried to nab myself a lesson, thinking I will just treat myself to that and take leave from work to go and do one of her lessons. No. Sold out like that. Okay, so I pretty much love everything in this book. Anything I've made from here has worked. You know how you just get those cookbooks, you try a couple of things and you go, no, that's a lot of effort and a lot of lovely ingredients for something that's a bit average. No, this cookbook is a win. All right, so they are my top 2 cookbook recommendations. If you have some, I'd love to hear about them. I've got a few more. Happiness is Baking by Maida Hita. I hope that's how you say it. Another Belinda Jeffrey cookbook, The Country Cookbook. You can see I've labelled heaps. The one in here I absolutely love is an almond lemon syrup cake. Yum, yum, yum. One of my favourite cakes. I know people in the UK will know Ed Kimber. I think he was the first ever winner of the Great British Bake Off. One Tin Bakes. There is a recipe here that is much beloved by all my friends because I make it and take it to events, and that is the raspberry cheesecake streusel squares. And this particular recipe is on his website. You don't have to buy the book for that one. Absolutely delicious. Makes this huge slab of a cheesecake and really, really tasty. I know you know who Nigella Lawson is. This is a really tried and true fantastic cookbook. My go-to that I'm using cake to whip up and have a I've made many other things from it, but that's my number one go-to there. Ready for Dessert by David Lebovitz. There are, I've mostly tried his cookies. These are some of the most delicious cookies I've ever tasted, and I now make these regularly as Christmas presents for people. And the ones that I make are, oh yes, this page is much stained. Brown sugar pecan shortbread, yum, super simple, not very many ingredients, but delicious. And I've forgotten what the other one is. Okay, the last two. This one is if you're really into trying some different things and taking a lot of time and care and doing a bit of fiddly detail with your baking, which I used to, but I haven't used this book for a long time because, yeah, I've run out of patience. Baked Explorations by Matt Lewis and Renato Poliafito. Great recipes, very fun. I'm not sure if it's that one or I've got a second one of theirs. Maple cupcakes with maple frosting. Yum. And this one is a regular one I reach for as well, but it's gluten-free cooking. And I usually don't enjoy gluten-free cooking because it's basically nutritionists putting together recipes. Well, this is a chef, a trained chef putting together recipes for her kids who have gluten intolerance or are celiac. So it's Emma Galloway. She does have an online presence called My Darling Lemon Thyme. And this one's called A Year in My Real Food Kitchen. And I've made quite a lot from this. I love her fritters. Oh, here's one I've made and really liked. Gingerbread loaf. It says with coconut icing, and I did try the icing and didn't like it. I just make the gingerbread loaf. Delicious. Chocolate chili almond cookies. Yum. I like things that have ingredients that are nutritious but also taste really good. I find that, sorry to say, when nutritionists write recipes, they don't necessarily taste delicious, but I'm sure are great for our bodies. And another one of my regular go-tos, this is not baking, but this is a go-to for me, zucchini, feta and mint fritters. They're great. Also, I will quite often fry up the whole batch, and those ones last really well to take to work for a few days in a row. Okay, that was my little cooking segment because I do love to cook. It's a treat, and it's unlike sewing, it's much easier to share the joy of baking with people, and I do like doing that. So my chocolate cake will go to work. The rest of it will go to work tomorrow and be shared amongst people, and hopefully they like it as much as I do. Okay, well, I hope you are well. If you've got some fave patterns or some really lovely fabric that you're just loving the look of or the feel of, please share. And if you have a tried and true baking recipe or a cookbook that you absolutely love, it's tried and true, everything from it works, please share with us. We all love to know. Okay, if you've watched this far, thanks so much. Give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, love you too. It's great to have people on board. Okay, bye for now.